Trae, come on, it's the day with Trae. Trae, with Trae, come on, it's the day with Trae. With Trae, come on, it's the day with Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae,
Come on, come on.
with Trae,
Pump it up, pump it up.
it's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peace that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everybody. Grand Rising. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I want to welcome you to a wonder-filled Wednesday. I'm really excited. My guest on the show today is Idris Goodwin, and he's here to tell us not only about himself as an author, but also a new book, Your House is Not Just a House, and the work he's doing with the Seattle Children's Theater. I'm excited to have him here and joining me today so we can dive into it later on in the show. But of course, it is the top of the show, y'all. So it's a perfect time to tag and share this stream right here. You know, however you're watching this show, share it with people who you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on the Day with Trae. And if you can't watch our TV show, we still got you covered, okay? Just listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast by searching Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae on whatever platform is your favorite. We're on all of them, so go ahead and search for us and you will find us there. Well, before I get into it with Idris later on, I gotta say, I'm inspired by him already before we even get into the interview. And that is the work that he is doing as not only an author, but working with the young people. Let me tell you, there's always a way for you to explore other opportunities, for you to utilize your passion, your skill set in a multitude of ways. You know, for me, for instance, right? I was loving theater since I was like 9. I got into it, movies, TV, film, modeling, all the things. And it's led me to where I am today. But along the way, there were some real significant moments in my life where I was able to pour into other people with the things that I loved. And I got to do a whole theater program at a private school. I got to create theater with young people and creative works and creative arts in different summer camps and arts camps. I'm telling you, I was able to utilize my love and my passion for the arts in so many different ways. And I'm encouraging you now. You know, I'm going to remind you at the end of the show, but I'm encouraging you now because no matter what it is that you love to do, there's a way to pour into young people or into our elders. You know, take your skill set to senior centers. Figure out if you can do a class. Maybe it's creative writing. Maybe it's media and you want to show them what podcasting looks like. It doesn't matter what you love to do. It could be adult coloring books, right? And taking them to amazing places where they never would have been able to see this if you didn't introduce it into their world. So I am telling you right now that I'm inspired because Idris is not just an author. He's like, well, of course I could write books, but he's writing books that are children's books. And then he's doing some additional work. And before I left it all to the end of the show, I thought we would start there because I too realized throughout my own journey, there have been some amazing points in time where I was able to pour into young people in a real impactful way. And years later, having someone who was in one of my programs tell me how that was a launching pad for them to dive into their own creativity or explore artistic works of their own variety throughout their lives and in their communities. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes we have to be that first spark, y'all. And you know, I'm always telling y'all to be inspired because no matter what it is that you want to do, there's some way that others could benefit from it. So after this short break, up next, we got Idris Goodwin in the building. And y'all know I'm excited to talk to him about all the ways that he is using his artistry for the good of the community, and of course, about his new book. Y'all don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Getting the scholarship really changed the conversation. It went from, no, I can do school in my free time and make it work, to I could only focus on school and I could be the best I can be every single day. I can soak up everything. I can read before class and make sure I'm not just learning enough to pass a test. Like, I could really pour all my time into school. That's what having a Seattle College Foundation scholarship did for me.
My hair is definitely unique in the rodeo industry, and not a lot of girls wear their natural hairstyle. And since I do, it makes it a lot harder to find equipment that fits my head the right way. When I speak about being unique, that's what I mean is, why should we have to change our hairstyle for safety maybe? Why can't they create something for us to be ourselves in and still be safe on the trails? You don't have to change the way you look because you're beautiful the way you are.
Here on Back to Besa, it's always been important to me that we uplift stories from across the region, and that no matter where you live in the nation, you never have to miss a moment of the show as we continue to highlight the beauty, excellence, and resilience of our communities across the Pacific Northwest. Why? Because representation matters. So no matter where you live, be it the Central District or Centralia, Portland or Pullman, or anywhere across the country, I encourage you to join me on this Back to Besa journey by downloading the free Fox Local app on your phone or smart TV as we continue to elevate the very best in our communities. Empowering the community one connection at a time. ConnectWA is your partner in finding the support you need. Download the app today and experience the difference that a connected community can make. Learn more at eec-wa.org/connectwa-app.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me is Idris Goodwin. What's up, Idris?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Man, I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm a big fan. I love what you're doing here with this show. So I done made it, y'all. I done dream those dreams.
Well, thank you so much. This is a real honor, too, because you've been pouring into community for some time.
Yeah.
And before we get into your book, tell us about those early days of you as a writer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. I don't know how, I'm sure we can't be here all day, but as long as I've been alive, I've known that creativity and the arts were, it's just where the heat was always. I always had a big imagination. And when I was very little, like my older brother, my cousins were all in the comic books and comic strips. And this was the 80s. This was the time of like hip hop's exploding and Star Wars and movies and, right before cable TV. So I just knew that I was supposed to be a storyteller or a filmmaker or a cartoonist or something like that. When I went to film school in the late 90s, and we were like the last generation to actually shoot on actual celluloid. This was right before the digital movement. I stayed in Chicago. I worked in PA, production assistant jobs for like TV shows, and went back to school again, School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And that's when I fell into theater. I got invited into theater. And I just poured myself into any outlet that was available. I was doing hip hop music and spoken word, and the city of Chicago, very similar to Seattle, is just, there's so many opportunities, so many venues and different things you can get into. And so that city just became like my artistic playground, and I was just searching for my voice, and I haven't really stopped. I think everything I'm doing now with Seattle Children's Theater and this book and that play or whatever, it's still the same thing. I think the opportunities get bigger, the work gets bigger, the connections grow stronger, but the same seed that was in, that same spark that was in me as a very little boy hasn't changed. I mean, I'm still just constantly in process. Like, what's the next story? What's the next story? What's the next story? And not really tripping, not looking too far back,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I wanted to kind of start the show with that, because you're a great example of like, okay, the seed's been planted. I'm gonna do it in a wide variety of ways and take advantage of the opportunities. Tell us a bit about what that was like throughout your journey of, one opportunity after another, because in the world of arts, sometimes it could get sparse, but you've been seeming to be pretty consistent and busy by grabbing all of these amazing opportunities before you.
Yeah, I think the key for me has always been, you're always in process. Mastery, the pursuit of mastery is about the pursuit. And really it's the pursuit of self-reflection, of constantly being in conversation with your feelings, with your accomplishments. I always say I watch the game tape every day. You know what I mean? I'm constantly reviewing game tape, and and that's really the you're getting better at your craft. It's like anything else. It's like, and you can't get too good, bad, or otherwise. So like, you can't get too lost in the applause, but you also can't get lost in the hate either, or even worse, the absence, the quiet, the silence when there is no response. You can't get lost in that either. And so that's the sort of the negotiation that is bittersweet, right? It's a double-edged sword. It's like you want the praise, but at the same time, you don't want to sit in the negative either. So the thing you can control is the story you have to tell, the thing you want to explore, your curiosity, your passion, and the collaborative nature, being around other creatives, whether it's working on a book, working on a play, making a short film, working on some music stuff. The beautiful thing I love is collaboration, trying to synthesize a vision for something or a certain conversation. And a lot of times these relationships with these different artists and creatives, that's the thing that lasts. You make some things together along the way that you look back on and you're like, oh, I love that, or man, what were we thinking with that? But that dialogue that you're in with that artist is the thing that transcends. And that's the beautiful thing. That's the thing you can hang on to, that keeps feeding you.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I as I do my own reflection on what it looks like in artistic collaborations, or, being able to be strong in my choices of choosing my passion every chance I got, right? And how that looked in different elements of my life, different areas of my life and times, may have morphed or changed in other ways, but that anchor and like you said, the pursuit, right? I also think too, so much of this is you're always in the present, right? And you accept what the present gives, and then I move on, right? Like, and that for me has been a driving force in, not only me being steadfast and consistent, but also understanding, like, doesn't matter what comes with any point in time, I'm here for it, I'm built for it, I'm ready for it, right?
Right.
Whether it's the biggest thing or the smallest thing or nothing, like you said. So I really appreciate your perspective on that. So, you got into, you said, look, I know you write plays, books. I mean, you're doing so many different things. Tell us about, the time when you realized, like, okay, writing, being an author is how I'm going to kind of funnel a lot of my passion through writing.
So it's interesting. There were so many different phases of it, but I'll just say, I'm working on a new book right now that's very semi-autobiographical, and it's about my struggles as a teenager with ADD, or ADHD they call it now, but it was ADD back then. And not really understanding what was going on, and not seeing the correlation between the struggles I was having in school and the devastating things that it did for my self-esteem at that time. And so I'm starting to reflect now at 40 plus, now fully facing and dealing with and treating the ADHD, what I got wrong then, and just like what I wish that I could have told myself then, and like what was the book that I needed to have read back then. So I bring that up to say that, I was doing so poorly with like reading, like literature classes and composition classes. Even though I felt like my English was pretty good, I was not doing well in English classes, right? But other forms, right? So comic books, hip hop, spoken word, film, spaces where it felt like the kinetic experience, the verbal experience, that, you know, especially for in the art of the diaspora, it is about the oral tradition and, you know, the word on the street and dialectics like that. I felt that was a wealth that I had. I knew how to say that, right? But I felt like the school, you know, the K through 12 English class or literature class, we're not reading anybody. We're not reading Ntozake Shange. We're not reading Amir Baraka. We're not reading Sonia Sanchez. You know, we're not reading the folks that are on my shelf at home. We're not even reading Maya Angelou, right? So there's this disconnect for me where I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Literature, books, those kind of people write those things. My people, we write albums and we do choreo poems and we do, you know, that I felt was my space, right? Now, once I start getting into the world of, you know, I'm out of school, I need to make a living, right? And I'm trying to shift this ratio between, you know, I'm a teaching artist, but I'm also like a bartender, and, you know, this 60-seat theater in Chicago is going to do my play, and I'll get, you know, 10% of the door, right? And then over the years, it's like, oh, I start to work more as a teaching artist, and oh, like somebody's going to pay me to write an article, and oh, like I got a commission from a theater, and like, you know, that balancing act of how you piece together a living, you know, starts to shift, and suddenly, you know, my world is all in the world of arts and, you know, arts administration, arts leadership. I'm directing, I'm writing, whatever. And during the pandemic, this acumen that I'd already developed working with audio, working on music things and, you know, short videos and things like that. This tinkering that I was doing as well, you know, I began to wonder about the page. And in 2020, when school shut down and my son had to stop going to school in the physical, I was invited by a theater in Milwaukee to create like a video poem, some kind of video content. I was thinking about my son and his friends, and I wrote this poem called "Your House Is Not Just a House." And it was a poem first, you know, and then as I started to think about, well, what are the other platforms now that theaters are dark right now, right? I just had all these other stories I wanted to tell. I'm reading all these picture books because I have 2 younger kids. Some of them I love, some of them I'm like, I wasn't even, you know what I mean? And again, it's just starting to own and accept that, no, storytelling is storytelling. Good story, the fundamentals of a good story, irregardless of someone's age, will work. You know, it will work. The once upon a time, you know, is tried and true. And so whether you're on a page or you're on a stage or you're in my headphones, it doesn't really matter. You know, it just doesn't matter. And so as I sort of work through my own fears and anxieties and insecurities around where I belong and where I don't belong, it was a moment of real liberation. But it took me over 30 years to get there. So it was a hop skip, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm in therapy right now. I feel like should I be laying down?
I love it. Well, you know, but when you explain the story, it also allows us to see some insight into you as an author and the types of works you love to create and really some impetus why. So tell us a little bit more about Your House Is Not a House. What are folks?
Oh, you mean that?
Yeah,
you mean this
go. There it
that just popped
is.
up miraculously out of the side of the couch?
I love the artwork, by the way, too.
Yes.
You know, what is this story for young folks?
Yes. So first off, shout out Lorraine Nam, who illustrated this book and really like created a story out of it. I mean, the poem that I wrote was, you know, much more sort of like a general message to young people, like, you know, it seems your home is just walls, windows, and doors, but take a closer look. It's that and so much more. That couch, that closet's not a closet. It's a teleportation chamber that will take you to a planet with robots screaming danger. That couch is not a couch. It's the top rope of a ring, and you're a masked wrestling champion. The unbearable, terrible scream. You know, and it goes on from there. And so what she really did is she created more of a narrative where it was like one particular child, you know, with this robot jumping over the couch on the bed, listening to these trolls underneath, you know, grabbing the paper towel rolls and pretending to be a rap star, you know, and that's the refrain of the book. It's like that, you know, this couch is not this, it's this, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it was a really dope collaboration. It's my first picture book, so I'm really, really super proud of it. And can't, you know, and just, and really like your opening, this is for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And so your opening, you know, your intro, your monologue, which was really moving, I was like, that's the book. Like, that's what I'm trying to do, really. It's just, it's an invitation, not just to kids, but the parent that's, you know, the adult that's reading it to the kids. It's like, you have this powerful, powerful thing called an imagination. And the step of craft, the step of taking an object, right? Like, that's why the book is like, you know, that object is not that object, it's something else. Like, that's the first step towards, you know, creativity in its tangible form. And that's the disconnect for a lot of people, is they have most people have great visions, they have ideas. I think every human has that, but there's this, the disconnect is the step to do it.
Yeah.
And never before in human history have we had so many tools and outlets. I mean, like, you can literally use, there are apps where you can speak your vision into it and it will generate it for you.
Yeah.
You know, now you want to refine it and you want to have taste and you want to have all that. There's other things to develop, but we have these tools, and just, I believe that practice is very healthy. I think it gets your dopamine up. I think it's like it's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So the book is really an invitation to everybody to just tap into that imagination, have some fun, you know, create with young people, with your community, and just have some fun, man. We gotta have more fun out here. You know?
Well, I gotta tell you, thank you so much for this. Your house is not a house. I'm excited about it. I'm a new grandmother.
Hey.
And yeah, and so I when you started reading pieces of this and reciting the poem, I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, yes. You know, this is the kind of, you know, attention that we want to give to our young people, to be very intentional about them exploring their creativity and their imagination therein. You know, as adults, we get so bombarded by the boxes where it looks like we're supposed to fit in, that we forget that we have this great imagination that we can explore. And I love the innocence, not only of young people, but the fact that they don't have that, right? They're not, you know, they have these inhibitions. They don't have that.
Yeah,
They are just like, I'm free. I'm going to flock. I'm going to love it all. And it's interesting, as I watch my sons get older. I have an 18-year-old and a 10-year-old, right? And watching them get older and them learning about how they are in the world, you know, two young Black men, you know, that I'm raising. And I always think, please don't lose that, right? Like, understand you still have the ability. Yes, the world is what it is, but you still have the ability to be whatever you want and to explore these different realms of your life that may create anchors for you along the way, where you can go back as a grown adult and look back and say, wow, it was because I was in that program.
Yes,
oh, it was because I had that experience. Oh man, this, you know, specific person who poured into me in this way that wasn't part of my family, right? Like, it was that person. And I think back to what those were for me. So I absolutely adore this. Thank you so much for giving me a copy.
Of course.
And you also do work with Seattle Children's Theater. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, that was actually what I was gonna, when you were speaking about, you know, the willingness and the readiness, right? You know, kids like stay ready so they don't got to get ready. Right? You know? And the thing I love about children's theater, or what we call TYA, or theater for young audiences, a lot of times people are like, what do you mean by that? Is that children on stage performing? Is that, you know, what do you mean by children's theater? And for us at Seattle Children's Theater, it's about us, you know, putting on at the highest level we can, a full production. We're hiring professional actors and scenic and all that, but we're just saying we're doing this primarily for youth and families. You know, like we say, you know, kids and the adults that brought them, right? And we're just choosing to focus on that demo with the understanding that, you know, I believe communities are at their best and their most powerful when all the age groups are represented. You know, when you can bring the whole family out, when you can bring the whole community out, that is a powerful, that is a powerful audience right there. And the thing I love selfishly as a writer and a producer of theater is that kids they are ready to go. They watch with their whole bodies. They're like, what is we doing? Yeah. Like, here, let's go. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Tortoise in the hair? All right, let's get it. You know what I mean? what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah. Christmas Carol, let's go. They just are so with you, and they hand over their hearts and their minds to you, and they're like, they trust you. They're like, all right, take me on a ride. Take me on a ride. And if you half step in any way, they'll eat you. Yeah. But they still will be generous. They will still, even if they don't love it, they'll still be generous. I just find them to be the best audience members, in my opinion. And I think they make adults better audience members too. Because the adult is watching the show looking for something, but the adult is also watching the kids watch it. And watching kids fall in love with live theater is you could bottle that and sell that. And I might low key do that as like a little side hustle. You're gonna find a way to do it. Yeah.
Well, I had some very serious experiences for me that were super impactful at Seattle Children's Theater. It was the first time that I got to volunteer as an usher. We would volunteer. My neighbor would take me and her daughter to volunteer as ushers so we could see the shows. Nice. And this was like middle school days. So I was young, but I was like not a elementary school. Obviously you have to be a certain age to usher, but the idea of exactly what you're talking about, the awe. Oh yeah. The awe of it all for young people, right? And when I go back now and I'm like, look at this stage and what it means for young people. I saw some really important plays for me that were like, man, the level of creativity, right? It was a reminder of what you could explore, what you could create if you didn't have a cap on your imagination. So I appreciate that you're doing work with them, that you're continuing to pour into young people. And thank you again for this. Of course, I gotta give you time because if folks are trying to tap in, they're trying to come see a play, they wanna buy the book, look right here, let them know how they stay plugged in.
Hey, first of all, hey, y'all, you look beautiful on this fine Wednesday. I'm so glad to see you. And on this day with Trae. Your House is Not Just a House is available any and everywhere. They sell books. If I believe the Seattle Public Library has them, but if you want to show your boy some love, you can, bookshop.org is a site that I really love because it's online, but it taps into the local independent bookstores. Of course, I'm not mad at Amazon. Technically, is that a local bookstore as well?
Right,
technically. You can get it anywhere they be selling books at. I know Third Place Books has it. I know Elliott Bay Books has them. I'm trying to get them over at Arts Noir. So Arts Noir, if you're listening, I'm a resident of the CD, so would be very honored. What else can I tell you? If you want to hear me read it in my melodious voice, the audiobook is available as well through Audible. You can stream that. So it's very findable. It's everywhere. I got a great, wonderful publisher. And then, of course, as mentioned, Seattle Children's Theater, we got summer camps going on. They're pretty full, but there's still a few slots. We're doing classes at our primary site in Seattle Center, but we're also doing a lot of satellite classes as well. We're at Coyote Central. We're at the Nordic Museum. We're doing something with SIFT this year. So we're all over the place. We got a whole new season coming, very exciting shows kicking off in September with Cat Kid Comic Club, the musical from the world of Dogman, Dave Pilkey. Shout out Dave Pilkey. Many things. But if you want to, I'm doing some book events too in the coming months. So just follow me at Idris Goodwin or idrisgoodwin.com or, SCT.org. Very findable in the streets.
There we go.
Yeah.
Idris, thank you so much for everything you're pouring in to the community. And thank you for this. I cannot wait to read this to my grandson. Thank you.
Yeah. I would love to hear you read it too, actually. I feel like you would really crush it.
You got it. Yeah. You got it. The recording's coming your way.
Yeah. Let's go.
Y'all, what a great Wednesday. I'm filled like a kid. I told you it was going to be wonder-filled, and I meant every word of that. I'm going to be wrapping it up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Ready to be intentional with your spending? Whether you're gifting it or using it for yourself, the Buy Black card allows you to shop at many different Black-owned businesses across the greater Seattle area, like Love a Latte, Dramer Ice Cream, Motis Beauty Supply, Pizza by Ruffin, The Spa House by Queen Care, and so many more. You can see the full list of participating businesses when you sign up for your Buy Black card at intentionalist.com. And thanks to our friends at BECU, you'll save 20% when you load your card. Spend like it matters with the Buy Black card.
Africatown Plaza is our latest affordable housing development project. It's 126 units of affordable housing over community commercial space.
It's the first time in my career, and I've been doing this for 10 years, that I was able to design for people who look like me.
Africatown Plaza is a beacon of hope.
Africatown Plaza is a love letter to the community.
Empowering the community one connection at a time. ConnectWA is your partner in finding the support you need. Download the app today and experience the difference that a connected community can make. Learn more at eec-wa.org/connectwa-app.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I got to give a huge shout out to my guest, Idris Goodwin, today, author of Your House is Not Just a House. And that is so true. How many of us grew up with that very sentiment? You know, my brother we thought he was going to be a cop or a gun maker or something, because everything was a gun. It wasn't just his hands. It could be a cereal box. It could be Legos. It didn't matter what he had in his hand. Maybe that toilet paper roll was probably a gun for him at some point. So how many of us grew up with that layer of imagination as children, utilizing our house as our very first playgrounds? I am telling you, I'm so excited to read this book to my grandson, and I want y'all to get your copy today. He said it's very easy to find. Thank you for that, Idris. We appreciate it. But tap into our local brilliance, y'all. You know, as I said in the beginning, anything that you can do to make sure you are a part of community, you're pouring into community, you're using your craft in a multitude of ways. Let's all do that, because we make ourselves better when we do it. You know, young folks being able to, experience your brilliance, be mentored by you, be in your presence, or at least receive your works of art when you put it out there in a format we can all appreciate. I want y'all to be inspired, because Idris definitely inspired me. You too can be a part of the solution, as he showed you he was here today. Y'all know I'll be back tomorrow. And until then, at 11 a.m., y'all, peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.